Audio check 1 2. Audio check 1 2. We're good. Hello everyone and welcome to Webcam Wrestling. I don't know if you actually follow this channel, but if you do, you'll notice some immediate changes. One, this motherfucking webcam is brand new, brand spanking out the package new. I have a couple of projects I want to use a better webcam for, so I thought it was time to upgrade, and my whole channel dedicated to webcam wrestling reviews just gets an upgrade because of it. I'm hopefully not going to film in this room the future videos I'm doing with this, because you can look at something more interesting than my fucking bedroom, hopefully, here. And obviously I don't know how the fucking focus on here works yet, because that was weird. But today we're talking about Stomping Grounds, WWE's latest pay-per-view, which aired last night as of the time of this recording. Probably an extra day or two by the time it goes up. I gotta say, I am kind of falling out of WWE lately. This is probably one of the least interested I've been in a pay-per-view in a long time. And even if I'm uninterested in a pay-per-view, I know the hype surrounding it. I know the matches. I know everything. Yeah, this was not the case. Some of these matches, like Ricochet and Samoa Joe, Bayley and Alexa Bliss, like Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery. Like, I don't really know the feud that well going into it. Like, I kind of just get like, even the small clips that I watch on YouTube, half the time I'm just watching like the fucking 24/7 title, whatever's going on with that, that kind of shit, you know. So let's just jump right into it. That being said, though, I actually enjoyed this pay-per-view, but we'll get into that. The pre-show I did not watch. Drew Gulak won the triple threat, so good for good old Drew. And then the opening match, we had Becky Lynch defending her Raw Women's Championship against Lacey Evans, and I thought that match was pretty good. Lacey Evans, I still don't think is like ready for a title, and I want Becky to have a really long, lengthy reign where she actually wins and doesn't have these bullshit finishes. So I'm happy with the result. I thought there was a couple moments in the match where you could audibly hear Becky calling out spots, and there was a botch here or there. And I know watching, like, I saw them on Raw, and it was basically the same chemistry of spots being called out way too much, and there's botchiness. Usually on the part of Lacey, the botch in this match where she did like a kick off the rope. I think that might have been on Becky's part. I'm not sure. The crowd for once didn't like they weren't like, you fucked up or anything. We'll get into this crowd. This was actually a very interesting crowd. Which I heard the ticket sales for this pay-per-view sucked. But one good thing about low pay-per-view sales, or just low sales in general, is the people that are there are usually like better fans. They're more dedicated. They're not the casuals. There were some moments though that they called bullshit, but we'll get into that, especially towards the main event. But yeah, this was a solid match. It kind of sucks, like, because Mania we had Kofi, Seth, and Becky all win the big titles. Real good fest that was. And the problem with that is I want all of them to have lengthy title reigns, get well established, but the problem with that is here we are, and with all these feuds, and like I want them to keep their title reigns, but I want the feuds to be interesting, you know. So it kind of feels like we're just setting up rivalries just for the sake of it. So that kind of sucks. But the next match was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the New Day, ex Kofi. I love the beginning of this match where they just destroyed Xavier. Like, Sami and Kevin just looked brutal. They basically took him out the match right from the beginning. I don't know how he kicked out. It made their, I don't want to say it made their finishers look weak because it's the beginning of the match. So I'm definitely okay with that. As long as they got the W in the end, which they did, spoiler alert. I enjoyed this entire match though. We had this big pop from when Big E got in, and I think I'm just now starting to notice how much Big E has like a 5 moves of doom kind of thing, because he does the same fucking moves every match. Like, whenever he gets offensive, he does that fucking move where he jumps on his neck. He does the fucking one move like this. It's a lot of the same moves. And now that I'm aware of that, I'm starting to see it like all the time, that he only is doing the same couple moves with like a couple interesting spots, and he's obviously taking a lot of the offense from the other guys. But that being said, it was still a great match. Kevin and Sammy won, which I think they definitely needed to. So, good filler match there. Following that, we had Ricochet versus Samoa Joe. This was the match I was probably most excited for, and I think that is the case with most people. Samoa Joe, I don't want to say he's a lost cause, but like, I've never been interested in him as a WWE guy. I know he did some great shit in NXT. From what I saw of that was really great. His WWE run so far has been pretty meh. So I was all for Ricochet just winning this belt. Just hot shot that shit right away. Some people were like, oh, it's too soon. I was like, who cares? Like, everybody loves this guy. We're ready. Sure, there's people like Sami Zayn who's never won a title in WWE, but then that's because we don't like take advantage of moments like this. So Ricochet getting the U.S. title, and I didn't even talk about the match. The match was great. Joe was a great. He's so fucking fast for his size, man. So like, there's a lot of moments where he's just throwing Ricochet around, and he's like a good. There's a moment where like Ricochet like just puts his foot on him and does like a backflip. There's so many like great ways that contrast with each other. But when Joe needs to fucking do some Uranagi spikes at like high velocity at full speed, they still manage to get that. Wasn't really that many botches. It was otherwise a really great match. Like, this is probably the only match that I honestly will remember in like a year or two from now. I will remember when Ricochet won the United States title. And we actually lingered. The shitty thing about WrestleMania and winning the title there and all this other shit, you can't really milk because there's so much, it's a time crunch. You can't really milk the feel good moments. So like, when Ricochet won, you actually were able to kind of linger on that for a little bit more. Do a full replay, cut to him walking into the back, getting the props and the high fives. Triple H was there. It was a real good feel good moment. I was like, okay, we hit all the beats that we needed to for a dude winning the goddamn title. And now, like, I'm ready for a good title reign with Ricochet, and if he fucking goes farther than there, like, if he's a top guy, then, yeah, you booked him well. I'm just happy whenever good things go the way they should. Anyway, the match after that was for the SmackDown Tag Team titles between Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery. I gotta be honest, with this match, it was, again, I was very unexcited. Heavy Machinery, I am pretty meh about. Daniel Bryan and Rowan are kind of just a spot holder, which is not a bad thing. They still, and this crowd, which is in Washington, so Daniel Bryan got chanted to hell. But the crowd, they were doing like pro vegan chants. They were like doing drive a Prius or whatever else they said. I loved this crowd until like later in the night. Well, no, they only shit on things that, in all honesty, probably should have been shit on. So I'm gonna say I love this crowd. This was a good crowd. You know, obviously, I hope Heavy Machinery doesn't like get the finger wag from Vince, like, like you're supposed to be the faces. Like, it's not their fault. But Daniel Bryan and Rowan got the W, which I'm pretty okay with. Like Heavy Machinery, I think they're cool. I do think they will get a tag belt eventually. But it's like, if it doesn't feel right going into the match, it's kind of like when, why am I forgetting? The Authors of Pain got the belt, and the Revival, pretty much most of the tag belts nowadays. It's like, they're just kind of throwing the titles on people, don't really give a shit. And in my opinion, if it doesn't feel right going into the feud, then they probably shouldn't get the belt unless you're trying to do a big shock. And in this case, like, just get it in a couple months. Let's work for it. Let's, you know. The match otherwise was fine, you know. Daniel and Rowan were heels. Did their heel things. The match following that was Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I don't think this feud is over. It was so weird. I think there was a promo for Extreme Rules before or after this match, and it was just so like, it was like a fucking bad memory just creeping into the back of my mind with what happened last time these two fought. Basically any match that these two have had has been awful. So I'm glad that Bayley, via maybe just Sasha Banks or whatever happened there, whatever reason, Bayley on SmackDown is actually being booked fairly well. I don't know if they're going to turn her heel with this new weird angle with Alexa and Nikki. I think this is just one of those slow burn kind of things that I'm just kind of going to wait and see. I hope they actually do something with it. But for now, we got Bayley kind of doing her usual stick, borderline heel. So no real problems with her, and her keeping the belt looking strong I'm happy with. She hasn't done that since WrestleMania 33, so it's been a minute. And the fact that she just got the clean W over Alexa, I'm fully happy with. Alexa, I'm really starting to hate on TV. But she did take some bumps for once in this match. She botched. I don't know if that was on her part, but there was some botches in this match. But whatever. The match following that is Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, a WrestleMania rematch. Don't give a shit about this match with Shane McMahon. I fast forward through this one in all honesty. Around WrestleMania time, it felt like this. You know, at the WrestleMania match, it was like kind of newish. You know, Roman get back from leukemia, but at the same time, these guys have been feuding for too long. I don't care anymore. I don't like Shane McMahon anymore. Drew deserves better. He's just gonna lose it to Roman. It was pretty expected. I'm sure they had a decent match. Like, I know both these guys can do a pretty good match. It's just kind of cookie cutter, you know. Following that, we had Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler. This was a fun match. I think this might have been match of the night. Dolph, I swear to God, like, they really like need these guys who like will fight like Dean Ambrose for the title at SummerSlam, or will fight The Miz for the Intercontinental title. Just kind of these placeholder guys. In all honesty, with Miz though, he had a good ass feud. But these guys who will like challenge for the belt seem like a good enough like contestant, but you know he's gonna lose and they're just gonna go on to the next guy. Dolph is your guy for that, man. Because this feud was actually interesting. We actually made Kofi look good. Looking strong, getting lots of wins. Probably the biggest win record Kofi's had in a while. And he won in a pretty interesting way. I've never seen anybody like, as the bad guy's crawling out the ring, the babyface just jumps through the ropes. Like, that was really interesting. Like, it's kind of a sketchy spot when you think about it, because it's like such a narrow and small area that Kofi has to jump through. But he did it. Looked clean, got the W. You know, it kind of leads into the storyline of like, Dolph being like, I'm the guy who works so hard and I'm gonna piss and moan because I'm a heel about it though. But Kofi's just like, but I work just as hard as you and I just got that extra inch, you know? Which I think is kind of the story in itself in a way. But yeah, I thought that was a great match. I can't really see Ziggler with the WWE Championship right now, so it's kind of obvious that Kofi would win. But otherwise, great match. I really enjoyed it. Now we have Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin. The special guest referee was announced to be Lacey Evans, and the second they announced Lacey Evans, it kind of made sense what they were doing. The crowd did not seem happy with that choice. With these like, this is the shitty thing. WWE, to spice up their pay-per-views nowadays, are having like these mystery spots, and pay-per-views are like glorified Raws nowadays. So people are but not everybody realizes that yet. So they're expecting Bray Wyatt, they're expecting Brock Lesnar, they're expecting somebody to come back because it's a pay-per-view. WWE does not give a shit about that anymore. They're gonna make it Lacey. They're just doing their little shitty writer. I'm not even gonna go into it on this video, but the second you heard Lacey Evans, it made sense. Okay, this is gonna be like a romantic thing. They're fully committing to this TV romance. Well, I don't even want to say fully committing because Seth and Becky definitely looked uncomfortable later, but we'll get into that. The match itself, you've seen it. It's Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins. It is exactly what you thought it would be, only now with Lacey Evans as special guest referee. She's slow counting. She's basically just fully letting Baron do what he wants. She gets rid of count out, and then she makes the mistake of getting rid of DQ, which didn't really make sense. Just don't call DQ, and like, you're only hurting yourself by doing that. But let's ignore common sense. Becky Lynch comes into the ring after she low blows him. She obviously takes personal offense to that. She comes down to the ring, beats her ass the second time. Seth gets this great curb stomp out of, like, not only was a curb stomp just like perfect, the setup for it was great. Seth and Becky on top of the titles, and then they have like this like awkward like romantic thing. Like, we know they're in a relationship. Like, that's the storyline, right? They don't kiss or anything, but they have like these little moments. Like, she slaps him on the ass, and he's like, it's funny, it's cute. Again, this is a very TV ending. Like, if I watched an episode of Raw, I'd be like, that was a cool ending of Raw. Now I'm like, hey, I spent $10 for that. Okay, it's a different feeling. That being said, though, this could have been a terrible pay-per-view. There have been pay-per-views with much better match lineups that have been worse than this. So the fact that they're able to make like a C grade pay-per-view, I think says like, hey, everybody came to work today. Everyone put on a show. We entertained. We didn't like fully immerse the storylines or anything. There was no like big moments or anything other than maybe Ricochet winning the belt. But it check mark what it needs to do for a pay-per-view. Everybody goes home. We did it. That being said, though, this is not what they need to be doing. They need to be doing fucking 10 out of 10 pay-per-views if they want to actually compete for the not the brand or the maybe the shelf life, but I was gonna say like to compete with the mental headspace of the wrestling community at this point, who is all about AEW. But that's what I thought of Stomping Grounds 2019. This was the first one, right? Yeah, the first Stomping Grounds pay-per-view. As far as like the title and everything, like, which by the way, if I had to give a grade for the pay-per-view, I'd give it a C. But this seems like a very just insert title, very cookie cutter pay-per-view. I think that would be, and cookie cutter is not always like a terrible like insult, but it definitely felt like we didn't leave the box of WWE. Like nothing, the status quo remains the same. So that's what I thought of this one. Thank you for watching as always, and until next time, with that, I leave you.